Careful, watch Eliana. I have a lot of gratitude to my parents for raising me in a home that was filled with meaning and love. To them, love was all about family in Israel.
In every aspect of the home that Ann and Jerry built, they infuse Zionism and a love for Israel, and they really, really passed that on to their children, and now they're doing that for their grandchildren.
I'd say growing up with Ann and Jerry as my parents, stucco was like all over the place, and Emunah was really one of the highlights of it.
My parents kind of instilled in me from such a young age is that importance of really focusing on the individual, trying to put smiles on people's faces, and really thinking about the people around you.
Before I got married, a family friend said, to be a Gontownik, you have to love Israel. And it's something I see every day that Ann and Jerry exemplify, a real deep love of Israel. And one way we see that is their involvement in Emunah.
Generosity and giving and thinking of other people is just so ingrained in absolutely everything.
I know I speak for so many when I say that my life has been materially enhanced through my exposure to the Emunah children's homes. What so many people don't know actually is that we have Ann and Jerry to thank for this. They were really pioneers in introducing our American communities to these children's homes in Israel decades ago. And so hundreds, if not thousands, of teenagers and young adults at this point have become Jewish leaders and have really learned what it means to give. And that is thanks to Ann and Jerry.
When you understand where our respective families come from, it becomes readily apparent why we're here this evening. My parents were both Holocaust survivors. My father was a commander in the partisans in Vilna during the war. My mother was the most optimistic person, and because of her tremendous optimism, I'm here this evening.
I was blessed when I married Jerry. He came from a home with similar values, that life was not just about ourselves. Love was not just about family. Love was also about the Jewish people, and it was important to us to contribute.
My mom was raised in a home where they were constantly fighting for the release of the Jews out of the Soviet Union. It was as the Jews came to Israel, we needed to help every individual in Israel who's having challenges, and that's what Emunah provided.
I think my parents' work with Emunah over the last several decades has really given birth to Culinarium together with Michael. You know, that organization is the epitome of carrying on the torch, of bringing hundreds of American volunteers and now European volunteers as well, and even Israeli volunteers now, to children's homes all across Israel.
20 years ago was my bar mitzvah, and my parents suggested that the right thing to do was, instead of receiving gifts, was to instead select a few charities that I thought were important and to request from our guests to donate money to those charities. One of those charities was Emunah.
When I was having my bar mitzvah, it was obvious that we were going to twin with an Emunah home with the Russian children that had just moved to Eretz Yisrael. Similarly, when my son recently had his bar mitzvah almost 30 years later and was asked where he wanted stucco money to go from his bar mitzvah, he also said an Emunah home.
I was fortunate enough to grow up in a home where we would visit Israel every summer and spend 4 weeks there. And every single summer we'd make sure to make a visit to one of the Emunah homes and experience for the day what these kids have gone through in their lives.
Kind of just want to say thank you to my parents for being incredible role models and for choosing such incredible organizations to be a part of.
My parents are really unique, and I think one of the things that makes them so special and unique is that I think they derive their greatest benefit outside of their family, of course, through the act of giving. I think when they see how they're able to help other people, I think that's really, outside of the family, the greatest pleasure they get.
And you just see the impact that a smile can have on a person's life. It can change their world, and it can change in a day, it can change them for a week, a month, or for a life.
When I went to Beit El-Ezraki for the first time to meet Yehuda, and we were standing in the hall, and this little boy runs through the hall, passes Yehuda, jumps up in his arms, Yehuda grabs him around his waist, and the boy just stayed in his arms for 5 minutes while we spoke. And at that moment I saw this is not just a physical place where this child is growing up, but he's growing up feeling the love of Yehuda and those around him. And that was going to give him the chizuk for moving forward in his life.
I think it's so important to be thinking about not just what's happening now and what's happening, you know, in this current moment in time, but kind of how that can extend even further.
Emunah is serving that purpose of helping those that are less fortunate and giving back to those in need.
What I'm so impressed with about Emunah is how successful they are at adapting to the new challenges and the new realities that Israel finds itself in at the time. Well, Emunah was founded to help the children from the Shoah. As society normalized, they expanded their programs to help families who were just living under difficult circumstances. As needs grew and women wanted to go into the profession of art, and an Orthodox woman was not able to get an education, they founded the Appelman School of Art. When women's rights issues became more important in Israel, they founded a women's advocacy group. And it's very exciting that recently they were able to get 10 women to sit on the board that is going to decide who will be the next chief rabbi of Israel.
My late husband Bob and I are proud to be the parents of both Ann and Jerry, who were brought up to have love of Israel and the Jewish people from the time they were born. That's what she saw in her home, is that you bring everybody together, and that's the way we make our Jewish world grow. And this is what I try to teach my children, that not only is it giving money, but it's giving of yourself.
Most importantly, Anne changed the dynamic of what it means to participate in helping disadvantaged children in Israel.
We felt strongly to create projects and programs that would help our children and the children of the community connect personally with the children in Israel.
It has become part of many families' trips to Israel, to go visit an Emunah home and understand how these children are being treated, what benefits they derive from being in a caring, loving environment.
Children who grow up in an Emunah residential home will have the skills and the background to be productive members of society.
Let's join together with Emunah and help bring simcha to the lives of disadvantaged children in Israel.
And now for our thank yous. First, to the co-chairs of this dinner, the committee, professional leadership, and everybody who worked hard to make this dinner a success. We thank you.
Second is to our co-honorees this evening, Lenny Glass, in memory of his beloved wife, Estelle Glass. To our grandchildren, you light up our lives whenever we are with you or whenever we speak with you. We love you all so much. On behalf of Ann and myself, I want to thank you so much for being here this evening in support of a wonderful cause.
And finally, let's take a moment to appreciate Hashem's presence in our lives and how blessed we are to be living in a time with the Jewish state of Israel. We have the opportunity to participate in Emunah projects that are helping those who are living in Israel.
Am Yisrael Chai.